Welcome back to Midnight Viewing, the Horror Anthology podcast. I'm Father Malone, and this is a brand new season, a brand new hosting configuration. It's a brand new cherry flavor. Did you see that, Mike?
What's that? Cherry flavor?
Brand new cherry flavor. It was a TV series on Netflix. It was interesting, quirky in the best kind of a way. All right, we have covered Night Gallery. We've covered Tales from the Dark Side. In another life, we covered Twilight Zone 85, and we're back to do it again. Who's we? Glad you asked. Joining me to discuss all things televisual from our friends across the pond is the Projection Booth's Mike White.
Howdy, hey. Thanks so much for having me, Father Malone.
My pleasure. And the show we're discussing, that program, as they would say, is the one season killer. This was on TV.
You mean series.
Oh, that's right. Series 1, technically.
If we're going to get into Britishisms, we might as well go with series.
This indeed. A show that asks the question, this was on TV in 1980? And we are discussing from 1980, Hammer House of Horror. Now, Hammer Films, of course, founded back in 1934 by William Hines and James Carreras. That company mainly released comedies and swashbucklers and a few crime flicks until about 1958. That's when the company would gain its notoriety as the UK's premier interpreter of classic horror when it released The Curse of Frankenstein, starring Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. Now, for the next 20 years, Hammer would be synonymous with lurid, gory, and suggestive horror. But by 1980, the wheels had come off this particularly gruesome cart, and Hammer was desperate to simply maintain its glory, never mind restore it. Enter Roy Skeggs, or should I say re-enter Roy Skeggs. He had been a former production supervisor until he left the company in 1974 to start his own film house. When Hammer went into receivership in 1978, he was asked back by the board of directors to take over creatively, and his first act was to move the productions away from Victorian subject matter and instead modernize, and if at all possible, anthologize. Thus, we have Hammer's second foray into television, Hammer House of Horror. Now, Hammer House of Horror premiered on August the 28th, 1980. That was here in the U.S. This episode is called Witching Time. This is season 1, episode 1, written by Anthony Reed, directed by Don Lever. He was a TV veteran, apparently having directed a bunch of anthology series in England, including 2 shows called Scorpion Tales and Thriller. You're going to have to look into those. This one stars John Finch, Mr. Macbeth, Patricia Quinn. If you're listening to this show, and I have to tell you who Patricia Quinn is, you should stop listening to this show. It also stars Prunella G., she was in Never Say Never Again, and Ian McCulloch. Bring on the dancing horses. Wrong, Ian McCulloch. All right, this is about a witch from the 17th century who returns to her ancestral home with thoughts of vengeance and possession toward its current inhabitants. A successful actress and her mentally fragile composer husband are the ones in her sights. Of course, this all might be in his mind. Mike, what did you think of our first Hammer horror?
They let that on TV? I was pretty happy being a big fan of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. This was a side of Patricia Quinn that I've never seen before. So yeah, I was pretty happy about that. But moreover, what a quality cast. This cast is amazing. I love John Finch. I love Patricia Quinn. I'm kind of curious if Susan George was supposed to be in this, because isn't that her photo that is in the episode? I feel like we're supposed to think that that's the wife, but it's not her, right? That's
no.
Yeah. Okay. I was very confused by that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, the story is such that it feels a little, it reminds me of like when I was a kid growing up and there was a horror show on Nickelodeon where it was about like, I don't know, a Puritan coming back and ruining the life of this teenage girl, because it's this whole, we're time traveling and here's this witch and she's back. But I was really hoping for more. I wanted more of a plan or a plot or something, because she just seems so, I don't know, just kind of, horny, and nothing wrong with that. And then just mischievous. I was like, oh, okay. And of course, like things get pretty heated, towards the end. But yeah, I was hoping for a little bit more to this story. But again, I was just so impressed by the cast, and just more John Finch, that guy.
Now, we just spent the better part of a year toiling in Tales from the Dark Side. And of course, I love Tales from the Dark Side. You love Tales from the Dark Side. But going back several years now from that, because this is 1980, would you not agree that the writing even as little dialogue and as little characterization as we're given here, just the level has come up
Oh,
remarkably, right?
yeah. I This is movie quality. I was surprised at just how well, first off, how good it looks. The cinematography on this is wonderful. Yes, the writing is fantastic. Had they tacked on another, what, 10, 15 minutes, it would have been a feature length movie. I was just kind of blown away by that.
Yeah, it feels very adult. It feels
Oh,
very
yes.
mature, even though it's delving even like further into the more lurid depths of what horror can offer, including massive amounts of nudity. That's what we're talking about. Like this, I gotta say, this episode it begins the series extremely cleverly in that we're given one of what we expect from Hammer, which is a period piece with women in bodices and dressing gowns and running through a Victorian mansion and getting naked, all and being stalked by a killer. And then to reveal that's actually just a movie that our lead is the composer of.
Yes, that was nice.
Oh man, I thought that was beautiful. And it also brings us to a brand new segment here on Midnight Viewing, Mike. This is called Was Brian De Palma in England in 1980?
Yeah, this opening is very, very blowout. And yeah, just to have the composer be our main character, it felt a little Barbarian sound studio as well for me.
Very blowout, and then again body double, like the
Oh,
let's
yeah.
start with the artifice of it and then reveal that this is the creators of that thing, so this is even more realistic. Like you can believe this even more than the old staid vampires and or like slashers.
Yeah, I love when they start with this and just pull the rug out from under us, especially they're starting with that kind of unknown POV, which we get through so many things. And yeah, that they get up to her, and I was expecting, to your point, a really horrible scream.
Yeah, exactly. And not only Brian De Palma, but is Jason Segel a fan of this at all? This is about a composer whose actress wife girlfriend is cheating on him. And does he compose a Dracula puppet musical by the end? Because that would have been perfect.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was really happy with the whole idea of him being this composer and seeing some of the composition scenes. They didn't go too far into that. I was just like, okay, this is nice. It's a nice way to set up this whole thing. I really like how we immediately get the idea of her cheating on him and him pretty much, I think he knows that he's being cuckolded.
Yeah, I mean, his first conversation is she's definitely cheating on me.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you know, I don't care. He's on so many pills and he's been drinking so heavily.
You're
Which,
talking about
by
the
the way,
character or John Finch?
yeah, right. Art imitating life. I think what I really liked about that was it set up the sort of possibility of disbelief here, like that the witch might be in his mind, and they go to
Mhm.
pains to sort of make that a possibility, but it very well could have been a possibility, and it crossed my mind multiple times during the narrative that they might be pulling the wool over our eyes on this, which would have been fine.
Yeah, and well, you mentioned Macbeth, which I know he was in, but I was reminded a little bit too of Hamlet with this whole idea of the horse going crazy. This almost like what do they call, not magical realism, but like natural realism kind of thing, where the animals are reflecting what we feel. So you've got the dog who's afraid of the storm, and then you've got the horse out in the barn, and then the barn becomes this major thing where it's like, okay, we need to go out there, make sure that the horse is okay, and then that's where we find Patricia Quinn. So I like that whole idea of nature just being a player in this as well. This mysterious storm that comes along, that it feels like he's the only one that witnessed it, because when his wife's lover, who's also, is he a psychiatrist, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He starts to question the whole idea of like, well, there really wasn't a storm last night. What's your problem? And that's one of the things that tips him off to think that our main character is a little nuts.
Yeah, and by the way, that could have also worked in the opposite direction. It could have been because that's the wife's lover. He's trying to make him go crazy because we've seen that how many times on Night
Oh, yeah.
Gallery.
Yeah. Gaslighting, a very intense gaslight with hiring a redhead to hang out in the barn.
Now, my question is, during the storm, his dog Billy runs off. By the way, at a certain point, he calls after the dog and he just says, Bill. And I thought, wow, what a great name for a dog. Anyway, are we to believe that because we do not see Billy again for the rest of the story, did she become Bill? Did the dog turn into the witch? Or and when he finds her, she's basically sort of crouched down like a dog. I think he thinks it's a dog at first.
Yeah. Yeah, he has no idea what she is, that she's just this black mound, basically.
I think the possibility exists that that dog transmogrified into Patricia Quinn, making it the sexiest dog of all.
God, yeah, she's amazing. I
Good
just
Lord.
love her.
It's not the first time we've seen her naked, though. She was in now for something completely different, for Meaning of Life. Meaning of Life. She's during the sex education scene. She's John Cleese's wife, who comes in to demonstrate with it.
I think I've seen that movie.
Time to watch it again.
Speaking of Nickelodeon, there was a making of movies show on Nickelodeon when I was growing up, and they just kept playing the same 4 maybe episodes over and over again. And one of them was Meaning of Life. What a weird thing to put on Nickelodeon, the making of the Meaning of Life. That one, Dark Crystal, I can't remember the other ones, but yeah, that whole thing with the guy in bed with his leg missing. I don't know how many times I saw that scene, because it was in that whole scene was part of the making of video, and I just saw it over and over again because I was so into the idea of behind the scenes stuff that I would watch anything.
I watched those same ones. I remember those ones. Do you remember a similar behind the scenes, behind the movies show hosted by Leonard Nimoy?
Yes. Was that Lights, Camera, Action or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember once they had on a special effects guy, like prosthetics and masks and stuff. And there was like a second head that they placed on Nimoy, and he was talking to it.
Wow.
And he said, and I remembered at the time thinking it was just a funny name for a movie, but Nimoy says to the prop, because the prop is from this movie, he says, "Didn't I see you in Geek Maggot Bingo?" And then, of course, years later to know that Geek Maggot Bingo is a Nick Zed film. Like, speaking of weird shit to be putting on like kids programming.
Well, it feels like Nick might have taken that name rather than vice versa. I don't know. Then we'll have to look at the timeline, because I've been looking for that show and I'm unable to find it.
The Nimoy one?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's listeners. Somebody, they'll write in. Actually, somebody, please find that Nimoy show for us.
You would think it would be on myspleen.org, but I'm not finding it there.
Oh, what else is going on in this episode? Oh,
power of light bulbs scares the shit out of her.
Yeah. Well, it made me happy that they made some sort of effort to show that she would be frightened by these things, that there was some time passing, because how many episodes of time traveling television have we watched where people are just like automatically accepting of everything? I think about Dave Letterman's top 10 list of things Abraham Lincoln would say if he were alive today. And one of them was EAG, Iron Bird. Yeah, modern things would freak the fucking people out if they came from the 16th or 17th century.
Yeah, exactly. And it is kind of clever to have it so that when she comes in, it's all candle lit. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah. Like that's normal. That's totally normal for me. And I'm surprised she does sit there and like flip the light a few times. I just kept thinking that she was going to do that over and over. It's almost like dissolved to her hours later, like still flipping the light.
At a certain point, John Finch imprisons her in one of the bedrooms. He locks her into the bedroom. And all I could think was like, you don't need to do that. Just give her like a blender or something. Like you can turn this thing on and off and just leave. Go get your friend.
What magic is this? And the next thing you know, you just hear screams.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, give her a vibrator. She seems to be very amorous in this episode.
Speaking of which, so there are a couple of sex scenes in this, but they have the one that is featured, there's a sequence where it ends with her scratching her nails down his back and gouging into it. And I bring it up because there's a transition there where it goes from her digging into his and digging these furrows in red to a little red sports car wiping the frame. It was fucking awesome.
That was nice. Yeah. Yeah. Again, this thing is shot so well. And it's not just a simple, okay, we're going to have 2 characters in a room and we're going to lock down the camera and have them move around. No, we are cutting. There are so many shots in this. It's really well done.
Yeah, the look is actually spectacular. And look, it's their film division basically funneled into the television and working with a lot of veteran television people. Like this director is a TV animal, basically. He was always a TV. But yeah, I'm knocked out. I don't think there's only 13 episodes of this series, appropriate, but I don't think we're ever going to say the words, this looked really set bound.
Mm-hmm.
It's just too slick.
No, nothing in here looks like it was shot on the set. I don't know if it was, but it doesn't look like it. That's for sure. I really like the shot when it is his psychiatrist friend asking him questions, and you've got Finch laying closer to the camera and half of his body is obscured, and then you've got his friend with the needle in the background, and then you can see the whole ceiling, which is so nice that they are not afraid. Again, when it comes to sets, all of these sets seem to have ceilings, so it feels like they're shooting in.
They definitely are. In fact, 90% of all of this series is filmed in one house, the Hampton House, which Hammer Films had purchased in Hampton. So I looked at a map today of all of the filming locations. It's all within 20 miles of this house. So every time they go, there's woods right there. There's a town right there. They do some pickup shots. Like I noticed in not this episode, but the next one, there's some London like shot. So there's London's an hour away, so they can run down and get B-roll and stuff. But it's you know me, I love economy, and the fact that they're able to pull this off and make it look so good. And we're going to see the house over and over again and not really recognize that it's one house because it's a gigantic mansion. It's one of those old English manors,
which I guess is appropriate for the opening and closing of this, where they just kind of show the big house. And I was hoping for, we just came off of a show that has one of the best openings ever. And I was really like, ooh, what are they going to do for the opening of this? Not a lot, but that's my small complaint about this show.
Yeah, I like the theme because it's so modern in a way, but it is just random shots of this house. Mm-hmm. And you would think maybe if there was a season 2, they could have at least cut a montage together of creepy shit from this season, but they just weren't there. But I agree. I'm happy to skip. I would never skip the opening of Tales from the Dark Side, but this one I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, well, it's a quick opening too. It's not like we're sitting there and okay, get to the episode. And at least it's not as irritating as the Night Gallery. That was just a little bit when that music was like, okay, enough.
Yeah, when that third season theme came in, that dun dun dun, run for your life.
Jesus, yeah.
Turn off the TV.
Yeah. She seems the wife seems so clueless when she does. You talked about the scratches. When she sees all the scratches on his back, I'd be like, okay, who were you fucking, honey? But instead, she's just like, oh, so many scratches. Oh, what's going on?
How did you do that to yourself? She lets him off the hook.
Oh, God. Yeah. Oh, I fell on a rake multiple times.
And I love that she's back because he's completely strung out and in her mind hallucinatory. And she's like, you need to relax. Let's go for a walk through the woods. No, I don't want to do that ever. And then she's with him downstairs, goes upstairs, finds a decapitated bird that is fluttering around. It has just been killed. And she's like, what did you do?
Yes.
Lady.
Oh, I love that bird. I love the bird prop and how it's just twitching its little wings. That's so nice. And it's got like the bone sticking out of the neck, like a cartoon bone, it looks like.
It was so horrifying. Like,
yeah.
And it's just these subtle things like, I don't know, but God bless Hammer. Yeah, I loved that bird. And I loved like later where he's burying the bird in a grave that is way too huge.
Yes.
But like he goes down and like makes out with it. Like this is, I don't know.
Well, yeah, it turns into his wife, and then his wife is riding along on her horse, and then you have her holding her face. So you're just like, okay, is this some sort of like voodoo type thing that's going on? Like because of the bird, she's being affected. And then, yeah, when he comes up and he's got blood all down his face, I'm like, oh man, what were you doing to that bird?
Like he goes to crush it with his shovel, and then then it turns into his wife, and then he goes down and makes out with her after thinking like, oh, I might have just stabbed my wife in the face with a shovel. Time for some tongue.
Yeah, Jesus, that was so strange. Oh,
And at that point, they still could have, it still could be just in his head
hmm
because, like, they cut to her, like, when she's still on the horse, they show a wound, like he's
right.
caused it. And then when they cut back to it, it's just not there. So it could be nothing at all. But of course, it isn't because you said voodoo doll. We get a version of that here. They're,
Yes.
they're playing every angle. This tiny little hideous little thing with a lock of her hair, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I was kind of confused. I didn't see the part where the wife kind of twists the doll and makes it into Patricia Quinn because I was like, oh, I'd be afraid to throw that doll into the fire. And it's like, no, it's okay. It's the Patricia Quinn version of the doll now. I'm like, oh, very talented lady to be able to swap out the voodoo dolls there.
Like, to what you were saying earlier, like, the one criticism I do have of this episode overall is that we don't really get any groundwork about what the plan is. Like, it's all just sort of happenstance. And that's fine because we're viewing it through the lead character's point of view, but we're the audience and we know more. We know she's real. So, just little things like her snatching the wife's hair, like,
hmm
and leading there. Like, this thing likes to surprise out of the blue. Like, suddenly there's a voodoo doll. And,
Right.
and it's fine. We're digging it because they have set it up in that the wife has been in pain and complaining for a little while. But nevertheless, like, they could have just little breadcrumbs along the way can go a long way because there are some times where there are going to be episodes completely predicated, spoiler for the next episode, we're on one idea. And if you see the idea coming from the opening, you're going to be in trouble. But
hmm
you can at least give us a little something because the voodoo doll ends up being very important.
Yeah, yeah, major. Yeah, and talking about going back to the nudity thing, that his wife is wandering around in bra and underwear so much of this episode, like that whole middle sequence after she comes back from a ride, she's just bra and underwear the whole rest of the time until like I think it's the next act where she finally puts on some clothes. And it so reminds me of when I was a kid and watching PBS and watching BBC shows on PBS. I mean, I thought I was crazy because I was like, did I really see boobs on PBS? Was that the only reason I watched Benny Hill? And the answer is yes. Yes, that is the only reason.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is Roy Skeggs was a producer of Benny Hill.
Oh, funny. Okay,
In
yeah.
his time away from Hammer, he worked on the Benny Hill show. Yeah, we get the full. I'm going to encourage people to watch another series right now, but I'm going to encourage you to do that after you've watched Hammer House of Horror in its entirety. There are two shows, actually. Obviously, Garth Marenghi's Dark Place,
Mhm.
which is the more famous of the two. And then Steve Coogan has a show called Dr. Horrible's House of Terror or something like that.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that one.
Now, that one is way more specific. That one is more about Amicus and Tygon and Hammer during the 70s. So it's this aesthetic, the same sort of, I don't even know how to describe Hammer in 70s sort of British cinema, but nevertheless, both Dark Place and the Steve Coogan show take great pains to make fun of this aesthetic. And you will not enjoy these shows if you watch those first. I'm telling you, this will just be a curiosity. It is a curiosity anyway. I'm just saying you do need to watch those, but watch this first, please.
I will have to check those. I've seen Garth Marenghi, of course, but I have not seen this Dr. Terrible, so gonna have to check it out.
It's very fun. It's very specific too. Like that, if you're a fan of 70s British horror at all, particularly their anthology horror, you're going to have a ball with this. Which I'm a terrible host in that I don't have the name off the top of my head. But anyway,
Yeah, Dr. Terrible's House of Horrible, and yeah, the first episode is Lesbian Vampire Lovers of Lust.
there you go.
All right. As someone who just watched Twins of Evil, I can definitely get into that.
Okay. I don't know what else you got.
I was glad that the priest character seems to have his head about him very well. And he wasn't trying to be like, oh, yeah, you're crazy. But he kind of knew the lore. He didn't seem to be like, okay, he does suggest an exorcism. And that is kind of what really pushes this to the limit and brings about the voodoo doll and all that. But yeah, again, like, oh, pretty reasonable priest character. That was kind of nice.
Yeah, I thought so too. And yeah, it ends up being an investigation kind of a thing with the wife. By the way, it's like, this was interesting to me in that I don't think you would have gotten this on America. She's cheating on him from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
And like, and he's just a pawn of this horrible thing. So she's effectively unleashed it. So she never really gets any punishment here. Like, she shows up, saves the day, and gets to be a fucking hero. And it's like, you're kind of the cause.
Yeah, no comeuppance whatsoever, which is so weird compared to everything that we've been seeing, where it's like, okay, there's a balance to the universe, and if somebody is bad, we need to punish them appropriately. We saw that so much with Tales from the Dark Side. No, like she wins at the end, and I found that to be very remarkable. I was just like, okay, well, where's the twist? And there is no twist.
And the thing is, Darkseid would have at least brought it up. Like, I'm bringing it up because we watched it and are fucking critiquing it, but like the story itself doesn't really play into that at all. In fact, as soon as she shows up, it tries its best. It even tries to redeem her, because she has a scene where she breaks up with the psychiatrist. Like, I have to focus on him. Like, he needs me. Like, okay, great. Like, you should have been doing that from the beginning, first of all. And second of all, Darkseid calling the dark side, come in and smack her down, please.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's the one that goes nuts and tries to burn her at the stake. And I'm just like, okay. And for a minute there, I thought that was going to happen because, like you said, she doesn't get comeuppance, and this would have been almost appropriate for a cheating spouse. But instead, yeah, she saves the day and wins everything. All right. Good for you.
Yeah, Darkseid would have burned her at the stake, and the husband would have been on a leash being led away by Patricia Quinn.
That's the place I want to be.
Hell yeah. Okay. Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Right on. Well, on the next episode of Midnight Viewing, the Horror Anthology podcast, we're going to be taking a look at season 2, episode 2. That is the 13th reunion. Until then, where can people find you if they're looking for you, Mr. Mike White?
Well, everything that I do is over at weirdingwaymedia.com, including the show that I do every week for the last 14 and some years, which is the Projection Booth podcast. So come on by and listen to me ramble on about movies.
Oh my God, are you talking about the best fucking movie podcast out there? I agree. Everybody go see that. As for me, you're listening to my show, Midnight Viewing. We're on twice a week. Mondays, it's Father Malone's Weekly Roundup. Every Friday, we do either a Horror Anthology podcast or one of our fests. We're currently going through Star Trek Fest, proving very popular. Thank you all for joining and going to the Patreon page and all that shit. I don't have a sign off for this one yet. That's exciting.